Hey, running friends. Welcome to the Wrinkled Runner podcast. I'm Sherry, the Wrinkled Runner. I'm over 50 and I love to run wherever I go, but Buffalo, New York is my home. If you are looking to start to run or you're an older runner, this podcast is especially for you, so subscribe now. I love to help people get running and keep running. Okay, guys, very excited today to be running with you your second to last run for the RRCA Start to Run program. We'll be doing a 9-minute run and a 1-minute recovery after our 5-minute warm-up. Okay, and you can start that 5-minute warm-up right now. I'm walking and I am in Forest Lawn Cemetery as per usual. I've done most of the runs here only because it's quiet and there's not a lot of traffic for you guys to have to listen to as I'm running. And it's another quiet day today. So I'm walking my 5 minutes as I usually do. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, first of all, for next week is going to be the live stream, or I'm going to be running live for that half hour for your first 30-minute full run with no walking, if you are able to do it. Some of you might not be there yet, and that's also fine. You just need to get there when you can get there for yourself. But I will be running a 30-minute straight run after a 5-minute warm-up, and I've been doing some research on that, and it looks like probably doing Facebook Live is the best thing to do. I need to look here because sometimes when they toll the bells, it's because there's a funeral procession, and I don't like to, I don't want to interfere with that, but it looks like it must just be at the time. So anyway, Facebook Live looks like that's going to be my best bet. I've looked into several different things, and a lot of different things looked great, and then all of a sudden I would read something and be like, okay, that's not going to work. So next week the run will be Tuesday, March 14th at 1 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop online live on the Wrinkled Runner Facebook page, and I will do that probably 10 minutes to 1, just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. If you go and like that Facebook page, then you can get notified that live run is coming, that I'll be going live as soon as that happens. For you, because if you're going to be running with me, obviously you're going to be listening to me, not watching me on Facebook. That is not safe unless you're on a treadmill. So you would just have to listen to it like audio, as if and play it while you're running, but just have headphones in or whatever and listen to it as I'm running. I'm not going to promise that the video part of it's going to be exciting anyway. I'm going to be mostly concentrating on like the audio part of it and talking. So it probably won't be that interesting to watch, only because, like I said, my concentration is going to be on audio, and I'll probably be looking at notes, and I'll try to turn the camera around too, so that maybe you're just watching what I'm seeing. I got to do some practice this week, but anyway, it's going to be Facebook Live. I'm going to go on at 12:50 with the run warm-up starting at 1 p.m. And then we will do the 30-minute straight run, and then closing remarks or whatever you want to call it for our 5-minute cool down. And so today I'm going to go over, and next week also, some things that you can do. I know we've talked a little bit about in the past few weeks. Last week we talked about SMART goals that you can try to go for now that you're coming to the end of this initial learning to run training. And so today I'm going to go over even more things that you can do, things to think about. And then next week, I'll do the same as well. And because, everybody's different. And so maybe something that you might want to do or can move on to right now, someone else might not be able to. So everybody's training is going to look different depending on just where you're at. And so I'm trying to
be a little broad in what I'm saying, which also then is a caution to you that just because I say, do this or move on to this does not necessarily mean that you are able to at this time, which is why I have been encouraging everybody throughout this whole process that please email me, let me know where you are, let me know what that looks like. After next week or this week or whenever you want, if you would like to do a Skype, 3, 2, 1, run 9 minutes. I have a kind of a coaching thing where I get online with people through Skype or Zoom, and generally it's a 60-minute call for $60. But for you guys, if you send me a message and just say you've heard this on the podcast, I will do a half an hour call with you for for 20. So just let me know if that is something that you'd be interested in, and then I can send you more details as to the different things that I'm going to know or need to know about you if you'd like to hop on a call with me so that we can discuss next steps and training. And I won't push you to hire me as your coach at all. It's just kind of just a touch base and see where you're at and give you some pointers and some things to think about as you move forward. So don't worry, this isn't for me to try and sell you, but it is a way for me to touch base with you and for you to talk to a coach if you so desire and if you're kind of confused. Now, if you want to just email me some specifics and things that you're concerned about or you're thinking about, or some more specific next steps you can take, then I'm more than happy to answer your email, and that's not going to cost you anything. Just send me the email, and make sure though, if you send me the email, what happens a lot of times is people send me really long, nice emails, and I answer and answer questions and whatever, but because a lot of times I don't get feedback back that they've gotten my reply, I'm always left to wonder if they've gotten my message or not, if they got my email or not. And then I'm concerned that people are thinking that I'm not answering them. So you can either add Sherry at wrinkledrunner.com to your whitelist or your email contacts or whatever when you do shoot me a message, just so that I don't end up in your junk or spam or whatever, because unless I keep sending people messages begging them to let me know that they received my message, which I'm not going to do, I just have no way of knowing unless people do reply to my reply that you've actually gotten anything from me. So if you're listening and you are in that boat where you have sent me an email and you think that I'm ignoring you or I haven't contacted you, check your spam and check your junk for Sherry at wrinkledrunner.com, because I probably did, at least from my standpoint, I am caught up in my emails of those that I have gotten. So do that and check that. Once in a while, my email, because it's connected to my Gmail account, it might be under sherryfejas at gmail.com. So SHERRYFIJAS, no dot in the middle, at gmail.com. So anyway, I just wanted to make that clear, because sometimes I worry that, I'm always saying, I'll answer you, and then I worry people are not getting their answers and are just thinking I'm ignoring them. So, and if you haven't, and you check all those avenues, and you have not gotten a reply back to me, then there is a 99% chance that I did not see your email. So go ahead and resend that. if you still have questions about that. But anyway, all that to say that if you have any specific questions about your personal training and where you should go to next, or any concerns that you may have or whatever, you can send me an email, and that's totally free. I will answer you with what I think, based on the information that you give me, will work for you. So let's see. Okay, so I got over the live stuff, which is great. So some of you, beyond your goals, might be wondering what's next, just in general training. Even if you haven't made goals yet, what should you be doing? And I've talked about it a little bit in the past few weeks, that, you're gonna just keep going with what you're doing. I don't want to see you like adding a minute or adding time every week. Okay, that's just not sustainable, and it will lead to injury, and it will lead to burnout. I mean, from here on out, your training has to be a little more dialed in, I guess. And so I'm not wanting you to add a bunch of time right away. I think I talked last week about, if you're running 3 times a week, try to up it to 4 times a week, try to up it to 5. And if you aren't there yet, then I would really hesitate to tell you to do anything else at this point, unless you really, really, really do not want to run any more than 3 times a week. Okay, and then for everybody, wherever you are, kind of hang on to where you are as you go for the next few weeks. Because what you're going to want to do is to start implementing what we call down weeks or recovery weeks. And so for those of you who may be running 30 minutes for the 30 minutes with no walking, I'd like to see you do that for the next couple of weeks. I know I've talked before about, adding time and things like that. And you kind of got to go with how you're feeling. The 10% rule, which you may have heard, is kind of standard, especially for beginning runners. And if you're an older runner, I would say for maximum probability of not getting injured and not burning out, that is a really good kind of standard to have. So I'd like to see you stay at 30 minutes running, and this week do 30 minutes. If you've only been running 3 times a week, do the 30 minutes 3 times this week. Next week, try 4 times for the week. See how you're feeling at the end of that. And then for the next week, either go back down to 3 for kind of a recovery week, or stay with the 4. And then the following week is where you'd want to start adding some, so a couple more minutes of running. Or, like I said, if your goal is to get to running 5 times a week, then not upping the 30 minutes, but just upping the frequency of how you do it. Now, if you are running 5 times a week already and starting next for the 30 minutes, it's going to look pretty much the same, except 3, 2, 1. Okay, recover for only 1 minute. It's going to look a little bit the same. I'd want you to run for the 5 days, the 30 minutes, and then do that for a couple weeks. And then the third week, maybe add time to it. Maybe, run another 5 minutes. Listen to your body, listen to the niggles. Don't overdo. And then the week after that, either go back down to like 20-minute run for the 5 times or 25. You're trying to rest, you're trying to recover, which I talked about, I think two runs ago. Talked about the rest and recovery and how that is part of training, and that is very important. So you definitely want to do that. I want to make sure that my mantra is kind of that rest and recovery is part of the run for 9 minutes. The rest and recovery is part of your training. It's not in addition to, it's not you're taking a break. It's part of your training. And if you can think of it that way, I think it's easier to incorporate it than to try and do way too much. So those are the kinds of things that I would want to see. And then if you were my client, that's what we would be doing. We would be assessing how many times more a week you want to run than you're doing now. And if you're at your limit currently that you want to be at, then we keep you there for a few weeks and then start adding in a little bit more time. Now, if you get to the end of this and you are not running a 5K, I know Couch to 5K, which is trademarked, by the way, it's an actual program, but it's not everybody, and from what I've gathered, most people actually in 10 weeks don't get to the 3.1 miles. So if you're not there yet, then that would be something that you could try and go for. And what will help a lot with that wouldn't be adding in more time. You could just keep running the 30 minutes, and as you get your running legs and as you run more, that distance is going to come. And so if you wanted to just kind of hang out where you are to get to the 3.1, then that is something that you also could focus on in this kind of phase here where you're kind of transitioning from just starting out to maybe wanting to do a few more things. Now, speed work is something also that can be added, which I would say don't add that for a bit yet. Keep the running going for the 30 minutes and then maybe adding days or adding some time before you start thinking about that. But when you do start thinking about that, then if you waited until you were running like a 12 or 13 minute mile, say, and you were getting to the end of that, say the last, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of that, you could add in what we call strides. And that is just, here is a word from our sponsor.
Achieving your body's peak muscle response is crucial for maximum athletic performance. I am so glad that I found the Amino Company. They offer a 100% science-backed essential amino acid formula called Perform that helps build your endurance and prepares you for harder workouts. Perform has been scientifically proven to improve muscle performance, reduce fatigue and recovery times, and increase the benefits from those workouts. You can check out their science by visiting aminoco.com/WR30. Perform has been my go-to pre-run fuel source for a couple of months. Because I usually run or work out early in the morning, putting together and then eating a full meal is not something that is convenient. I can keep my pre-made pink lemonade Perform in a water bottle next to my bed and drink it as soon as I wake up, so that the benefits of having a pre-run snack kick in as I get ready to go out the door. I'm very careful about the kinds of things that I put in my body, and I'm also careful about accepting the offers from companies that have wanted to partner with me over the years. I'm happy that I found a product that I use and like and can introduce to all of you. In Amino Company's clinical trials, muscle protein synthesis from exercise more than doubled by using Perform. Perform was created by Dr. Robert Wolfe. As a former Harvard professor and competitive athlete, he has completed 62 marathons in under 2 hours and 30 minutes and is still fueling his body with Perform at age 75. If you're looking for a nutritional advantage when it comes to boosting your peak athletic performance, I recommend you give Perform a try. It's scientifically 3 times more effective on a gram-for-gram basis than any protein source. And right now, when you visit aminoco.com/WR30 and use the discount code WR30 at checkout, you can get 30% off and get a free gift with each new purchase.
Okay, so I'm talking about doing strides, and what strides are is kind of speeding up at the end. Well, not kind of, you are speeding up at the end of your run and then going back down to your normal pace and then speeding up again. So what you would do over the course of, say, 10 or 20 seconds is you would just run it out. You would speed up, run for 10 to 20 seconds, and then you would pull back. And to start out, you're going to want to do that only a few times. You can add in more as you're feeling better, as it's not like killing your legs, because the point is when you are done with that stride, you want your body to recover. And you are going to recover a lot more slowly when you're first starting out than when you've been running for a while. So make sure that you are fully recovered, which means your heart rate is going back down to what it was when you were running your normal pace and your normal speed. Now, when people start running speed work and things like that, they're paying more attention to their pace, which from up until this point, you may be peripherally looking at it or, checking it out, but once you've been running for a while and you start really getting into it, you're going to be honing in more on your pace, especially if you start racing and you start getting time goals. And even if you don't race, there are plenty of people who never race, but they still check out their paces and they do a lot of things to try and get faster. So strides at the end of a run is one way that you can build some of that speed in, which is pretty non-technical, just because you can take off and do it, and then kind of feel if you are, wanting to do 4 or you're wanting to do 6 or, whatever, and that's going to up with time as you run them more and get kind of used to that hard work, because it's been hard work to get to this point in your running, and then as you start building in more kinds of workouts, those days are also stressful and harder, and so we want to add those gradually into your program so that you're not starting out right away with, doing a long run, which we talked about last week a bit, and then doing speed work and your normal runs and, strength training, all of those different things. Now, so when I've talked about this adding the 10% and not try to get away from this wind here, and not going over that, I'm talking about weekly volume. Okay, I want to make sure that that is clear. I'm not saying when you add time to your 30 minutes that you're going to add 5 minutes to every run. You are going to incorporate that into, if you want to do a long run, you would incorporate that once a week into your long run. Now, you could also divide that up, and you can, recover for 1 minute. You could divide that up and run, 31 minutes 4 times a week. or 5 times a week to add in that extra. Or you could do that by incorporating what's called a long run. A lot of people structure their training with easy runs, and then there's a speed day, and then there's a long run day. And so the speed day is, there's a lot of different ways to incorporate speed into your training. And one of the funnest ways is what's called a fartlek run, because that can be as structured or as unstructured as you want it to be. That can be as simple as right now there's a lot of trees. I can say, okay, I'm going to run really fast to that tree, and then I'm going to walk to the next tree. Okay, run for 9 minutes. Run to the next tree. There's a street that I really like here in Buffalo that has telephone poles spaced very evenly, and it's a nice long street. So if I'm feeling like doing fartleks, I can go over there and I can, run really fast to the pole, walk to the next pole, run really fast to the next pole. There's all sorts of things you can do. So that's kind of a fun one, and it's a fun way to introduce your body to running fast, and you don't have to think about it too much. There are other speed work sessions that you definitely have to think about more, and you'd have to build that into an app, or build that into, if you have a Garmin or a Fitbit or an Apple Watch. And those are kinds of things that make having a coach nice when you're first starting out, because they can add in that speed work. They'll know that you're ready. They can build in all the different things that you would need to know for it. But something like a fartlek, you can just do on your own, and you can make up whatever you want, so that's a fun way to add in some speed. And you'd only do that, I would say, run what you're running now for another 3 weeks before you start into stuff like that, just because I don't want to see you injured. The injury aspect of it is very real for a lot of people, and for myself, I don't tend to get injured, but I tend to burn out. And when we add too much, we can also get burned out. We just don't feel like doing it. And based on probably lots of things that you've started and stopped, if you don't feel like doing something, you're not going to do it. And the chances that you're going to get back into it are very, very slim. So, like I said before, injury and burnout happen when we do too much. Now, the good news, I think, for you guys, is if you have stuck it out this long, then I would guess, have already learned that lesson. You're following a program and following it well. Hopefully you are uninjured and you are enjoying running, and you're seeing benefits from it now that you've been doing it for over 2 months, and finding yourself stronger, able to go longer, all those cool things. So if you're listening to me and you've been following along, I kind of feel like I don't need to beat you over the head with it, I guess. I think you've come a long way in learning that doing too much would just not be good for you. So I know some of my clients, when they get to this point, they kind of get not scared, maybe a little nervous to hear that next week they're going to be running for 30 minutes straight. And for some people, if you don't feel like you're able to do that, or you're a little nervous about it, take the next couple weeks and just stick with the 9-1. And you can always go back, and I'll have the live run as a podcast episode under the normal format, and you can listen to that when you're ready. Being nervous and stressed, that's the last thing that I want for anybody when you're starting to learn to run. So please do not feel that you have to do this run next week or somehow you've missed the mark. You absolutely haven't. And I think it speaks to you listening to your body and listening to how you think and how you respond to things. Being stressed and anxious is a very real thing, and it's a very real thing with people who are exercising and in athletics. Let me tell you, every day, every time I sign up for a race, in the last week before the race, I'm always like, why did I do this? I just get so nervous, and the starting line especially is very nervous, and I feel like my legs are like lead and that I'm going to do really, really poorly. And in those moments, I have to trust the training. And and then I run a couple of miles, and then I just am in my head about my own run, and then I worry far less about it. But everybody gets anxious with performance, and the mental health aspect of it is very real, and you can feel overwhelmed. So I don't want you feeling overwhelmed with this at all, okay? This is not a college course or a test in any way, and it's also not a pass-fail thing. So I want you to do that 30-minute run when you are ready to do that 30-minute run. And if you have any anxiety over it, or if you just want someone to look at what you've been doing and tell you that, hey, I really, really think that you can do this, or even, hey, I really think that maybe, wait a few weeks, do email me and just let me know. Give me your statistics, give me as much information about you and your running as you can, and then I can help you. And I will make sure that this week I'm really checking all my avenues of being contacted so that I can be sure and get back to everybody before next week for that live one. So anyway, just a note about that. I think sometimes we as runners, when we're trying to talk to other people about it, we don't hone in on all the information, and we don't give you the whole big picture. And then sometimes people kind of are left thinking, gosh, I'm the only person who's really, really nervous right now about running a full 30 minutes with no break. And there's no one else on the planet like me. And I'm here to tell you there are lots of people on the planet like you. So that is not unusual at all on any level of running or in athletics in general. That is not it's not a weird thing, okay? So just know that it's normal, and you do you, I want you to get out there, and I want you to do it. And that does bring to mind something. If you are scrolling around on social media and you're following runners, lots of people, they're good at running, they're coaches, they know what they're talking about. But my fear with all of this is a infographic or an Instagram paragraph is not going to give you the nuances that you're going to need to navigate a lot of this running stuff. So, okay, 3, 2, 1. All right, recover for a minute. So please be very, very careful. Do your research on things. If you see something and it doesn't seem quite clear to you, or it seems overly simplistic, it probably is. And I think a lot of Instagram coaches and runners, and it runs the gamut. It's not, I'm not dissing coaches, believe me, but runners in general who are trying to get a following. Sometimes their posts are, hello, Mr. Geese, are more for to impress other people who know about running, rather than giving somebody who's a beginner a good base and good information, because there's a lot of things that I see that definitely need more explanation. Okay, cool down 5 minutes. That need a lot more information than just, run every run easy, run exactly how you feel, and that's it. And there's a lot of nuance to it. So just, do your research, read things about running. There's lots of books, and I did an episode last season, I believe, on running books if you want to coach yourself. And these have really good information in them. They explain things a lot more than scrolling on Instagram is going to. And so I'll link that in the show notes, just so if you want to dive in a bit deeper into training and things like that, you can read it for yourself, and then you'll have all the information in front of you, not just something that you can read in 3 seconds. So anyway, I'm gonna rant about that in a YouTube video in the not too distant future, because I have some thoughts. So anyway, but I won't go into that right now. So we have about 3 minutes left. 3.5 before our cool down is over. So I didn't get to touch on all the aspects of continuing with training, and I will, dive a little deeper into that next week, just so that you guys do have some direction, somewhere to go. And it's hard when you're like what I'm doing right now, and running and talking and trying to get a thought in, but then thinking about another thought, and that's kind of how I am anyway. So this has been a good challenge for me, is doing these podcasts, because since they're so structured with how many minutes and how many minutes of recovery and cool down, warm up, it has to be on time, right? So if I were to not talk for a minute, then that would have to be in there. So this has been a good challenge for me to kind of be able to talk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, and try to have it be a little fluid. But I know my weaknesses, and that's not one of my strengths. So if something sounds very vague to you, or if I started a concept or something that you were interested in, and then all of a sudden I went down a rabbit hole, please email me and let me know, so that I can be more clear and give you more information about that. And also, if you can do that within the next week, I'm going to have that be homework. If you guys can kind of think about some things that I may have touched on, talked about, wasn't super clear on, then shoot me an email so that I can talk about it next week, as part of maybe clearing up some things that I talked about over the last 10 weeks, or I can also address it a little more succinctly in a podcast episode, because I'm always looking for new ideas, new topics. And so if there's something that I touched on that is very vague, and I know that a lot of this has been very vague, it is very hard to kind of make this for everybody who may be listening as you start to run. So if you can send those questions in, then that will help me for future episodes to kind of be a little more clear on what I'm talking about. And again, too, because of this way of communicating, and it is very one-sided, anything that is vague or that is not clear to you, I really want you to email me about, so that I can help you and clear that up for you. Yes, I'm a coach. Yes, I market my coaching. Yes, people pay me to coach them. But for this platform and for my other platforms on YouTube or the blog, I really, really do put in as much information as I can to answer specific questions, okay? So I don't even, when I answer, I don't even send you a link to, I don't say, oh, if you want to hear more, then, okay, and workout is ended. I don't do that. I don't make it so that I give you partial answer, just so you know. There may be a link to my socials, and there'll be a link to my coaching page, but it's not a sales tactic at all. I really want you to learn and get this down. Thanks for listening, and exciting stuff next week when we go live. Talk to you then.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you know another runner who could benefit from today's topic, go ahead and share it. Do you have any running questions? You can ask me. Email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com, and if I can't answer your question, I will do the research to find the answer and share it with you. The questions I get from listeners like you help me develop episodes, so please don't be shy. You can sign up for my once-a-month newsletter using the link provided so that you can have all the Wrinkled Runner resources from the past month all in one place. I also have opened up my virtual coaching in addition to coaching one-on-one with those in the Buffalo, New York area. So head to my coaching page on the Wrinkled Runner website, which I will, of course, link to, and check out how we may be able to work together. Until next Monday, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the run.